Nobody knows exactly how Elisa Lam died. We know that the 21-year-old Canadian college student was last seen in the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles on the 31st of January 2013. But the infamously chilling hotel surveillance video that captured the bizarre final moments before her disappearance, let alone the other details that have emerged since, have only elicited more questions than answers. Ever since her body was discovered in the hotel's water tank on the February the 19th that year, her tragic demise has remained shrouded in mystery. Although the coroner's office ruled her death as an accidental drowning, the strange details of Lam's case have fueled rampant speculation about what may have really happened. Internet sleuths have come up with a myriad of theories about the tragedy, involving everything from murder conspiracies to evil spirits. But when it comes to the disturbing death of Elisa Lam, where does the truth lie? On January the 26th, 2013, Elisa Lam arrived in Los Angeles. She'd just come by Amtrak train from San Diego and was headed to Santa Cruz as part of their solo trip around the West Coast. The trip was supposed to be a getaway from her studies at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, where she was originally from. Her family had been wary of her travelling by herself, but the young student was determined to go it alone. As a compromise, Lam made sure to check in with her parents every day of the trip to let them know she was safe. That's why it struck her parents as unusual when they didn't hear from their daughter on the 31st of January, the day she was scheduled to check out of her Los Angeles hotel, the Cecil. The Lams eventually contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. The police searched the premises of the Cecil but couldn't find her. Police soon released surveillance footage taken from the cameras at the Cecil Hotel on their website. This is where things took a turn into the truly bizarre. The hotel video showed Elisa Lam in one of its elevators on the date of her disappearance, acting rather strangely. In the pixelated footage, Lam can be seen stepping into the elevator and pushing all the buttons. She steps in and out of the elevator, poking her head out sideways towards the hotel's hallways in between. She peers out of the elevator another few times before stepping out of the elevator entirely. The last minutes of the video show Lam standing by the left side of the door, moving her hands in random gestures. Nobody else was captured on the video except Lam. Public reaction to the inexplicable video crossed all the way to Canada and China, where Lam's family is originally from. The 4-minute video of Lam's strange elevator episode has amassed tens of millions of views. On 19th of February, 2 weeks after the video was published by authorities, maintenance worker Santiago Lopez found Elisa Lam's dead body floating in one of the hotel water tanks. Lopez made the discovery after responding to complaints from hotel patrons about the low water pressure and a weird taste coming from the tap water. According to a statement by the chief of Los Angeles Fire Department, the tank in which Lam's body was found had to be drained completely and then cut open from the side to remove her 5'4" frame. Nobody knows how Lam's corpse, floating lifelessly next to the same clothes she wore in the video surveillance, ended up in the hotel's water tank, or who else might have been involved. Hotel staff told authorities that Lam was always seen by herself around the hotel premises, but at least one person did see Lam soon before her death at a nearby shop, eerily named the Last Bookstore. Owner Katie Orphan was among the last to see Elisa Lam alive. Orphan remembered the college student buying books and music for her family back in Vancouver. It seemed like Lam had plans to return home, plans to give things to her family members and reconnect with them often told CBS LA when the autopsy results for Lam's case came out, it only served to ignite more questions. The toxicology report confirmed that Lam had consumed a number of medical drugs, likely to be medication for a bipolar disorder, but there were no indications of alcohol or illegal substances in her body. Soon after the toxicology report came out, amateur sleuths began poring over the information they could find in hopes of solving the mystery behind the death of Elisa Lam. For example, one summary of Lam's toxicology report was posted online by a Reddit sleuth with an obvious interest in medicine. The breakdown pointed out 3 key observations. Number 1, Lam took at least one antidepressant that day. Number 2, Lam had taken a second antidepressant and mood stabilizer recently, but not that day. And 3, Lam had not taken her antipsychotic recently. These conclusions suggested that Lam, who had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, may not have been taking her medications properly. It is an important finding to note, given that the use of antidepressants to treat bipolar disorder can risk inducing manic side effects if done without caution. Some sleuths have understandably latched onto this detail and suggested it was a likely explanation behind Lam's strange behaviour in the elevator. Hotel manager Amy Price's statements in court strongly support this theory. During Lam's stay at the Cecil Hotel, Price said that Lam was originally booked in a hostel-style shared room with others. However, complaints of odd behaviour from Lam's roommates forced Lam to be moved to a private room by herself. But even if Elisa Lam had been suffering from mental health issues, how did she end up dead? Furthermore, how did she end up in the hotel's water tank? The autopsy did not show any foul play from the evidence that was processed, but the coroner's office noted that they were unable to do a full examination because they could not examine the blood from Lam's decomposing body. David and Yina Lam filed a wrongful death suit against the Cecil Hotel several months after their daughter's death was uncovered. The Lam's attorney stated that the hotel had a duty to inspect and seek out hazards in the hotel that presented an unreasonable risk to the danger of Lam and other hotel guests. The hotel fought back against the suit, filing a motion to dismiss it. The hotel's lawyer argued that the hotel had no reason to think that someone would be able to get into one of their water tanks. Based on court statements from the hotel's maintenance staff, the hotel's argument is not entirely far-fetched. Santiago Lopez was the first to find Lam's body, described in detail how much effort he had to exert just to find her body. Lopez said that he took the elevator to the 15th floor of the hotel before walking up the staircase to the roof. Then he had to turn off the rooftop alarm and climb up on the platform where the hotel's 4 water tanks were located. Finally, he had to climb up another ladder to get to the top of the main tank. Only after he'd done this did he notice something unusual. I noticed the hatch to the main water tank was open and looked inside and saw an Asian woman laying face up in the water approximately 12 inches from the top of the tank, Lopez said. Lopez's testimony suggested that it would have been difficult for Lam to make it to the top of the water tank on her own, at least not without anyone noticing. The hotel's chief engineer, Pedro Tova, made it clear that it would be difficult for anyone to access the rooftop where the hotel water tanks were located without triggering the alarms. Only hotel employees would be able to deactivate the alarm properly. If it was triggered, the sound of the alarm would reach the front desk as well as the entire top 2 floors of the hotel. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Howard Harm ruled that the death of Elisa Lam was unforeseeable because it had happened in an area that guests were not allowed to access, so the lawsuit was dismissed. Elisa Lam's mysterious demise was not the first to happen at the Cecil Hotel. In fact, the building's sordid past has earned it the reputation as one of the most supposedly haunted properties in Los Angeles. Since opening its doors in 1927, the Cecil Hotel has been plagued by 16 different non-natural deaths, and unexplained paranormal events. The most famous death associated with the hotel, other than Lam's, was the 1947 murder of actress Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia, who was reportedly seen drinking at the hotel bar in the days before her grisly demise. The hotel also hosted some of the country's most notorious killers. In 1985, Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, lived on the top floor of the hotel during his monstrous killing spree. The story goes that after a murder, Ramirez would dump his bloody clothes outside the hotel and return half naked. Back then, the hotel was in such disarray that Ramirez's nude stunt barely raised an eyebrow. 6 years later, another murderous patron moved into the hotel. Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger, who earned the nickname Vienna Strangler. With such a macabre history, one would think that the Cecil Hotel would soon be condemned. But actually, the old building was recently granted landmark status by the Los Angeles City Council. The hotel was given the distinction because of the building's opening back in the 1920s, which is considered to be the beginning of the lodging industry in the US. While an answer to the mystery behind the death of Elisa Lam remains unclear, the obsession surrounding that mystery has remained in the public consciousness ever since.